Coming up next hour on Live from the 60s, the year will be the future.
Live from the 60s.
Everyone loves TV Dad.
On the next TV Dad, presented by Progressive, TV Dad explains becoming a man.
Son, it's time we had the talk.
Okay, TV Dad.
You know, drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
Oh, is that why my voice is changing?
That's a question for your health teacher.
Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh, you mean like when I let someone with less groceries go ahead in line? Sure, there's a part of me that thinks, if you only need 3 things, maybe go to a convenience store next time. And now they're sifting through coupons and my frozen foods are about to be not frozen.
But still, it's the right thing to do. So compare rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Dr. Rick here. Another sign you're becoming your parents is getting particular about details that don't matter.
The craziest thing happened when we got tacos the other day. Was it Wednesday or Thursday we got tacos? I know it wasn't Tuesday because that's when I went to my hairdresser. Shoot, what day was it?
See how we all lost interest there?
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Progressive protects more than just your home and car. You could save when you bundle your motorcycles, ATVs, boats, and RVs. Doesn't that sound good? Like the sound of the wind in the trees as your RV sits parked in the forest. Is that the call of the majestic owl? And there's the sound of a tree branch crashing into the roof of your RV. Oof, I guess their nest was in that branch. But you know what does sound good? You're covered with Progressive. So bundle all your vehicles and home in one place and save with the multi-policy discount. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Being there matters, and in a world that can be uncertain, your United States Navy protects and defends America on the oceans. Where there are threats against America, anywhere around the globe, your Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, and most importantly, tens of thousands of America's finest young men and women are ready to defend America at all times. When pirates threaten commerce, your Navy is there to ensure the world's oceans are safe and free from attacks. When disaster strikes, like the typhoon that devastated the Philippines in 2013, your Navy was there, providing medical supplies and relief to those in need. When drug traffickers attempt to use the ocean to ferry narcotics to our borders, your Navy is there defending America. Your Navy is deployed around the world, around the clock, always ready. When it comes to protecting and defending America, being there matters, and America's Navy is already there.
The Cool Hits 105.7 weather is brought to you by Moe's, 115 6th Street, Ashland, which caters and has gift cards. Come, dine in.
Welcome to Moe's! Cool Hits weather.
Early morning showers, windy with a few clouds from time to time. A high today of 71, partly cloudy tonight. Low should be at 38. Mainly sunny on Sunday, a high of 64. And Sunday night, partly cloudy early with increasing clouds overnight. Low of 44.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Well, it's time for me to fade back into history.
Live from the 60s.
I'm the real Don Steele, and remember, the love you take is equal to the love you make. I'll be back next week, same time, same station, and most of all, same decade.
Live from the 60s.
This program was created and produced by M.G. Kelly. Executive producer, Sean Steele. Associate producer, Michael Schoenfeld. Co-producer, Krista Anderson. Live from the 60s with the real Don Steele is an M.G. Kelly production. All rights reserved.
The Cool Hits 105.7 studios are sponsored by Southern Ohio Medical Center. Cancer can be very scary, and cancer care can be complicated, but the SOMC Cancer Center takes you from what appears to be a maze to amazing care. SOMC, very good things are happening here.
Cool Hits 105.7 WLGC FM. Green Up, Ashland.
Portions of this program may have been pre-recorded.
Cool Hits 105.7 and the Cool Hits Sports Network now presents Let's Talk Sports. Get ready as we talk with players and coaches, take a look at the top stories in sports, and take a look at all the scores from the night before. It's Let's Talk Sports, brought to you by Kentucky Farmers Bank, Clark's Pup and Shops of the Tri-State, Stoltz Pharmacy, River Cities Builders, and Wagner Rental and Supply. Now, let's talk sports with your host, James Collier.
And welcome into Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Carr, happy to have you along with us here this morning. Believe it or not, the sun is out. Dwayne is over here in his slumber trying to cover up. This sun doesn't work well for the vampire. Okay, he is not liking this sunlight. But after some heavy rains yesterday and overnight, the sun has started to peek through. The only bad thing today is that if you go outside, you better have a 10-pound cinder block with you. We can see wind gusts of up to 50-plus with winds sustained 25 to 30 today. So if you have a kite, you better have it on some whale rope or something, or it's gone, okay? I remember as a kid, I did it one time. I had this ginormous kite my mom and dad bought me. It was an Optimus Prime. The thing was 6 feet tall. And I got it outside one afternoon. We had a big field right there behind our house where I lived, and got it up in the air and everything was going, and all of a sudden it got a gust of wind and that line went snap, and I just watched it just sail away. I'm running after it going, Optimus, come back! It did come back. It was gone. It was in the jet stream, never to be seen again. A couple of great guests this morning. We're going to start off with Cameron Mills, former star from UK basketball. He also works for the State Network. We were down at Lexington last week doing the Sweet 16. We're going to talk about the tournament as a whole. Obviously, Warren Central, they were the field of the class, and they kind of flexed their muscle there. They get their second championship, the first one under William Unseld. But there were some really intriguing games there, including the all-time scoring record in the state of Kentucky from King Kelly Coleman has been broken. So Coleman set that one back in the mid-50s. The new king is Travis Perry out of Lyon County. And it was so anticlimactic the way that it happened. He broke it from the free throw line. He shot a three-pointer that would have given him the record twice. It rimmed in and out. And then hit a layup in transition to tie the record. And then he was fouled on the next possession and went to the free throw line and broke the record. So we'll talk about that. A couple of the games that we will dig into and stuff, and then catch up on what Cameron is doing when he's not doing basketball. He's got some pretty good stuff that he's got going on as well that he had really gotten deep into, and then COVID hit, and it kind of stopped things. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Then following Cameron, in studio, I'm going to have Miss Basketball, Haven Ford, and her head coach, Matt Stokes. We'll talk about their season and the honor of being bestowed the 2022-23 Miss Basketball for the state of Kentucky. We'll take a look at NCAA tournament. Throw your brackets in the garbage if you already haven't, okay? First time in history that there has not been at least a 1 seed in the Elite Eight. I think it was Houston was the last straw and hope last night, and they got beat. All the 1 seeds are gone this year. You know, I said coming in, I said this tournament may be the first tournament I've seen in many years. You've got 6, 7, maybe 8 different teams that could possibly have a chance of cutting down the nets for the Final Four. It's playing out. The highest rated team right now, Texas. The same Texas team that was trying to bring in some guy named Calipari, and where is he? Oh, he's at the house watching games. He's still trying to recruit or something. So anyways, we'll do that. And, of course, the Border Sporting Goods rant of the week. Will the real James Collier please stand up? Oh, my goodness. This one has been going on for a month and still going. Anyways, let's take a break. When we return, I've got Cameron Mills in. We'll talk some Sweet 16 basketball, both high school, and we'll maybe even talk a little college ball as well as we continue here at Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stoltz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots and, of course, great prescription service at Stoltz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stoltz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender. Spring is coming, but the specials are already here at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Assorted cheese mix and bugle snacks, 2 for $4. Jack Link beef jerky, 3.25-ounce size, $6.99. Assorted Hershey king-size candy bars, 2 for $3. Assorted Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, 2 for $2. Great specials plus quality Argo gasoline is what you'll find at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool hits, the greatest songs of all time. 105.7.
Back on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Carr, happy to have you along with us this morning. Let's go to the phone lines. Joining me there, Mr. Cameron Mills is in. Cameron, good morning. How are you?
Hello, James. How are you, buddy?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for joining me this morning. What a heck of an event we had last week down at Rupp. The Boys Sweet 16, all kinds of storylines coming into that one, and it turned out to be one of the best tournaments I think we've seen in a very long time.
It did. Why do you think it did? I mean, you think it was just, I mean, we had a number of good games.
Well, I think it was.
We all know this.
I was going to say, I think we had some good games, but, you know, you had the storylines coming in, obviously, with Travis Perry there. You had Reed Shepherd. You had some of the big names, the defending champs. Were they going to be able to make the climb up? The runs that Frederick Douglass had put together, Warren Central put together. There were just so many storylines. And then you saw so many great games that the way they played out, I mean, none better than the ending of that Male Frederick Douglass game in which Frederick Douglass closes on a 17-0 run over the 418.
Can I tell you that's the only game, well, not the only game, but the only good game that I missed was that. And I had Jared Peck, who writes for the Herald Leader, who sat next to me all week because I called the game for the Sweet 16 Network. But he sat next to me all week, and he was texting me like what was going on and like giving me clues as though I was in the building. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? And I could not believe it when I found out that they came back basically on a 17-0 run and held Mayo to 0 points in the last, 5:59 or 5:49 of that game. That was absolutely amazing. And then, but I find it amazing that team that eventually won the state championship in Warren Central, I find it crazy that they were down that much. I mean, it just that is a good team as we saw, and to me, one of the best teams I've seen. Not maybe one of the most talented, though they certainly are talented. I don't think a lot of those kids will wind up playing D1. I think a couple of them might. But, man, they play like a team like no other. If Kentucky fans or basketball fans wanted to see what great basketball looks like consistently, man, find a copy of Warren Central playing in any game in this tournament because they are a joy to watch play.
Without a doubt. And you look at some of the pieces that's on the floor. Chappelle Whitney was the MVP of the tournament, had a double-double, I think, in every game through the event except for one.
I believe, yeah.
He was one rebound shy in, I think it was the quarterfinals round. And then, of course, William Unseld, the head coach, his son, Cade Unseld, watching the transition from him last year as a sophomore to this year as a junior was remarkable.
James, I'll tell you what, I wound up developing an irrational hatred of that young man simply because his three-point shot, his shot in general, was so much better looking than mine ever thought about being. I mean, I sat there watching the smoothness of his release, the confidence with which he released the shot. And, I mean, I sat there thinking, doggone it, why wasn't I that good? Why couldn't I shoot the way this kid shoots? Because I might have eventually at college shot at a better clip, and he eventually will because his shot is so good, and he's got a dad as a coach, which means this summer Cade is not going to be spending a lot of time picking flowers. He's going to spend a lot of time in the gym. Presumably, if that's what he wants, meaning if he wants to play Division I like his daddy did, he's going to spend a lot of time in the gym only getting better. He's got height. He's already got some bulk. But, man, when he lifts that jump shot off, I'm sitting there. It is a sight to behold as far as I'm concerned.
I talked with Coach Unseld in the first game when they played the opening round matchup, and I said, what's the pulse of the team? And he said, the hardest thing for us this year was getting out of our region. He said, when we get past there and into the state tournament, he said, I told the guys, he said, just go play fun and play free. The hard part's gone. And you could kind of really see that. You know, there were some teams that pushed them a little bit at times, but then they seemingly grabbed another gear and always pushed it out of reach.
Yeah, they did. And you know, that was the fun thing about it. They've got Cade, who's, I guess Cade's probably, 6'3", 6'4", maybe?
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, and so he's playing a wing. In high school, a wing. Now, in college, that's where he's going to be playing. But in high school, for him to be playing a wing, Chappelle Whitney, who I don't think Chappelle Whitney was taller than that. He may have been. He looked to me more like 6'2", but of course, Cade has that little afro. So, but Chappelle Whitney, to me, definitely, even as great as Cade played, and as jealous as I am over his jump shot, but Chappelle Whitney was. When was the last time, James, you saw a young man come to the Sweet 16? And let's say at 6'2", 6'3", utterly dominate the post the way this kid dominated. I mean, you could, if he got the ball in the low post, back to the basket. So we're going old school basketball. Back to the basket, be able to make consistent, perfect footwork, low post moves that, that McHale would have been jealous of, that Robert Parrish would have been jealous of, that, it was beautiful. His footwork was immaculate. And I texted my high school basketball coach, my assistant high school basketball coach, who was constantly barking at people saying, where's the up and under? Where's the up and under? Kids don't even know what up and under is this year. And Chappelle Whitney used it about 5 times a game. It was just so much fun to watch this team play. And then going back to last year as they were runner-up, Coach Unseld, I'm sure you heard this too, constantly was telling everyone in the media at Sweet 16, when this team was on the bus, leaving the state championship game after the same George Rogers Clark team they played this year had beaten them last year, they were on the bus, and he said they were talking, and you could just tell in their eyes, but more importantly, they were talking about, let's get in the gym when we get home. They were already thinking, we got to start work because we want to get back here next year, and we want to complete this instead of fall a little bit short. And to me, that was just a great lesson, and if you want something, the work has to start. It's not state championships are given to you. There's always going to be a team that comes out of nowhere. And yet this Warren Central, from beginning to end, because if I remember correctly, they only lost one game all year, right?
Yes, correct.
One game all year, and so they put together, and they're in an absolutely very difficult region. So to get out of that region, get to Sweet 16, to have those moments where teams were challenging them, but yet to be able to rise up and beat them. It was one of the better Sweet 16 state championship teams I've seen, and that's no disrespect to any of the other ones. Certainly no disrespect to George Rogers Clark, who I'm not sure anybody expected them to get back to the championship game this year. And so great job to Coach Cook and everything GRC did, because they looked, I wouldn't say they looked as good as they did last year, but to get back to the championship game, that was a feat.
Well, and the other side, too, was George Rogers Clark had to beat Frederick Douglass, which was the team that they had last lost to in the regular season, one of their 5 losses. And they won that one 51-44. So, there was just a great storyline there when those two teams hooked up for them to get back into the championship game. Go back to the first-round games. If you had to pick one first-round game that really stood out more than the others, which one would it be?
Oh, see, now this is where you're moving me into my memory. I don't remember, and you have to help me, the very first game, Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, J-Town and Woodford County, the overtime.
Because I remember thinking, it was Eric Collier and Eric Chumber and I called that game. You know how Sweet 16 is. You've been there, years enough to know. You and I talk about it every year in our little post-tournament debrief like we are right now. You just don't, the way the brackets or the teams are chosen, you're going to have some blowouts. We're going to hit that 35-second or that 35-point standpoint, which I don't know that we did this year. It was certainly we didn't in a game that I called. But there were some blowouts. But to start the tournament off with such an amazing game like that. I mean, that was like, all right, good things to come if we started this way. By the way, James, I'm getting ready to go in a little gully, so I may break up on you here real quick. I have to lose you. Have your producer call me right back, but I think I'm okay.
No problem. I think the two games that jump out to me are because of the way things happen in it. The first one was Frederick Douglass, Martin County, in which Douglass threw home 8 dunks in the ball game. 4 consecutive on the trips that go to halftime. They go dunk, 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 dunk. And, I mean, I'm not talking about your can of the mill. I'm talking about off the backboard dunk was the last one they threw down.
Right.
It was just unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, and I was told because I had not seen them play all year. As a matter of fact, the only 2 I'd seen play this year before the tournament were North Laurel and Lyon County. And so I was told to be prepared for an athletic team. Well, you hear that, you think, okay, so maybe this team has more quote-unquote athletes than your average team. But I was hinted at, again, got to go back to Jared Peck, who I sat next to all week from the Hill Leader. Jared was kind of telling me, nothing. You don't understand. This team is going to be above the rim. And I'm looking at them warm up, and I'm like, yeah, they're not. I mean, this is not going to. I mean, I'm not doubting their ability to jump, but I'm like, there's not a lot of height on this team. But boy, could they jump! And I mean, that first dunk started them going. And you're right, it was like 7-8 straight dunks in the half. And I mean, that was a show that I don't think I've seen in the Sweet 16. And then to kind of summarize it, and I think it was in the second half that the off the backboard dunk came. And I certainly didn't expect this team to have that kind of confidence in each other. And I'm sure they've done it in practice. I'm sure they'd had it. But I mean, as a crowd watching them, I don't think anybody expected that off the backboard dunk, because that's something you rarely see in the NBA, much less high school.
Yeah, that's something you do in the backyard when you're out there trying to be Michael Jordan as a kid.
On an 8-foot goal. That's what you do on an 8-foot goal, not a 10-foot goal.
Not a 10-foot goal. The other game that I thought, then this one, I was on the call for this game, but Louisville Male and Breathitt County. Breathitt County was up 7 in the first and had the basketball with a chance to put it into a 10-point deficit, and then the snap of your fingers, it's a 27-point lead for Louisville Male in the locker room. They hit 15 threes in that basketball game after missing their first 5.
I know. Again, just one of those other, what made this Sweet 16 better than most we've seen recently. Maybe better than most we've seen in a long, long time. But just, you had overtime games. I don't believe, and correct me wrong, I don't believe we had a game hit the 35-point rule.
We did not.
We had teams we had the dunks of Frederick Douglass. We had the absolute complete team play of Warren Central in their attempt to get back to the championship game and win it all this year. And then Male. I mean, Male with their 3-point shooting. I mean, you just kind of had a cavalcade of great basketball in the Sweet 16, which is what we expect to have every year. It's what we hope to have, but we don't always get it. I mean, like I said, I keep bringing up the 35-point rule. We typically have 1 or 2 games that get so out of hand that 35-point rule has to be invoked, which, as someone calling the game, it's not that I don't want to see great basketball, but you're like, okay, well, this game's going to be this much of a blowout. Let's keep that clock running and let's get it over with. But, there was so much good basketball played, you didn't feel that way a lot of times. And with the comebacks that we did see, you kind of thought for a while, I still can't count this team out, especially those really good games. Like when Warren Central would get up maybe 7, I think, on George Rogers Park in the championship game. I never counted George Rogers Park out. And, of course, Warren Central couldn't extend that lead from 7 to 10. I think they wound up winning by, 8? Am I making that up? Something like that. But, they were always within, especially as I think we got to the Final Four. All 4 of those teams, there wasn't a blowout, nor do you expect one. But, I mean, you just knew that if a team doesn't increase their lead to, say, at least 10, and even 10 is overcomable, and you just think the other team's going to have a chance to come back because they're just too good. And I'll also say this. The teams that were there in the Final Four especially were exceptionally well coached. And I think more than anything, watching Unseld coach, Will Unseld of Warren Central, I mean, as much as I love watching this team play, boy, did I like watching him coach his team.
He's one of the few people, I always kid, I said he's one of the few people when I go to Lexington that I have to look up to.
You mean what, physically?
Yes.
I look up to him. I tell you this, you notice, I mean, he'll get on his team and he'll get mad, but, man, he kind of perches himself on the scorer's table. He's a big guy. He's tall. Of course, he played Division I for Vanderbilt and South Carolina right before I started playing at UK. And so he'll just sit there and lean up, and I saw him do this several times, where a call would go against them, right? And a lot of times, boy, we saw a lot of 50-50 bang-bang block charge calls, right? And you always do, because those could go either way. We still don't have a very clear explanation. I don't know that we ever will about, all right, what's the difference in a charge and a block? But, man, they had a couple of tough ones go their way in one of the first or second round games. And instead of blowing up at the officials, he sat on his perch, nodded his head, looked at his player and said, he's right. That was a good call. Even though it wasn't a good call. I mean, he was so calm. And you think if he stays that calm, that's why his team stays that calm. And there's no panic in him, therefore there's no panic in them.
Another game that I thought was a stellar finish in that first round, Ashland over Owensboro. The Braxton Jennings kid, he has the basketball that gets tipped back toward him, wide open, and he's like, why not? I'll shoot it. Buries the triple, gives Ashland the lead. Owensboro has 3 looks at the rim of the other end and comes up empty, and the Tomcats push forward. That was a pretty special event, considering the fact Jennings' dad, who had flown in from Arizona, was in attendance to watch that basketball game.
I didn't know that storyline. I'll tell you the other storyline I like is that Ashland has a brand-new coach. And there were a few I think there were 1 or 2 teams that had new coaches, but Ashland was here last year. And for them to, they lost their coach. They got a brand new coach, and yet that coach was able to get this team back there. And that's not as easy said than done, because most of the time when you have a new coach, unless they come up through the system of, well, he's been the assistant coach, and that may have been the case here, I do not know. But to have a group of guys who have had success, right? And they had some success last year, obviously. But to have a new coach come in with presumably a different style, a different mentality, a different personality, and for his guys to continue to believe in him the way they did their prior coach and still get back to the Sweet 16 and win a round or two, that was pretty special as well.
A new scoring record goes down in the state of Kentucky. Travis Perry netting it on the free throw line in the win over Newport, but it was so anticlimactic because it came from the free throw line, but still to break that record was pretty awesome.
James. Free throws still count.
Of course they do, but it was so funny when he had 18 and he shot that first 3-pointer that rimmed in and out. And I mean, everybody in attendance, all 14,000 people collectively sighed at the same time.
Yeah, well, that it was interesting to me. Someone, and I didn't even think about it this way, but someone asked me a question in an interview earlier in the week about whether or not. Because clearly Travis was going to break this record. He's got 1 more year left. He's going to absolutely obliterate this record. So the question, was, do you think it's fair that this kid started in 8th grade? He started playing varsity and scoring at a pretty regular clip. Do you think it's fair that he's that where King Kelly Coleman only had 4 years, this kid's going to have 5? And I'm like, well, but he's going to beat it in 4. So, and there was no guarantee that he was, a pretty good guarantee, but there was no guarantee that he was. And so, to me, that was what was special, is that he beat King Kelly Coleman's record, which I don't think anyone ever thought would be beaten. He was able to beat it in 4. Now, he's going to wind up, like I said, obliterating it, because he's got, unless barring injury, he's got 1 more season. So, pretty easily, I think he'll get it over 5,000, and then we'll say the same thing. Will this record ever be broken? And, I know they're made to be broken, and I know things surprise us, but, boy, we haven't seen King Kelly Coleman's record broken in many, many years. So you just doubt this one will be broken. But, yeah, that was the game, one of the games I missed. But I do love the idea that his coach / dad called timeout because, I don't know if Sweet 16 was going to do it, but that needed to be a moment that was acknowledged and celebrated and paused and thought about, okay, and especially at Rupp Arena, that had to be a special, special place to break that record.
Yeah, you couldn't have put it in a better place for something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's almost like he planned that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have 16 tonight. That way, as long as we win, I can have this many in the Sweet 16 and break the record in front of the Rupp Arena crowd.
Well, Cameron, outside of basketball, I know you stay busy on your other side of things. Tell me what's the life of Cameron Mills away from basketball?
Well, it's pretty much getting back to what it was before COVID, which I'm so thankful for. As a matter of fact, right now, the reason I'm in my car talking to you is I'm on my way down to Lincoln County to speak. Last night I spoke at the Lincoln County Disciple Now I'm doing it again this morning. So I had 18 ministry events, and then that's what I've done. I'm getting ready June 3rd of this year. I'll be celebrating my 25th year in full-time Christian ministry. And so I had 18 events cancel on me or have to postpone on me the first 3 months of the COVID wave. So back 3 years ago, I had 18 events. It was looking to be one of my best summers, certainly maybe one of my best years in a while. And then, boy, COVID hit. And, man, I've been grounded for 3 years, just like all of us have. And so I'm just thankful to be back on the road a little bit. This morning going to talk to a bunch of kids about Jesus and getting that back going, because that was one of the things where my other job working for a home health company, that involves a lot of travel and speaking. That was kind of grounded. I had to do a lot of stuff on Teams, but man, ministry's best done in person. And so I'm excited to kind of get my ministry back up and going and start speaking to churches and kids again.
Cameron, always a pleasure, my friend. Great talking to you and seeing you last week down at the Sweet 16, and we'll get together soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, James. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Cameron Mills joining me here on Let's Talk Sports. Let's take a break. When we return, Miss Basketball 2022-23, Haven Ford is in studio. We'll talk with her, Coach Matt Stokes, on the other side of the break as we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Spring is coming, but the specials are already here at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Assorted cheese mix and bugle snacks, 2 for $4. Jack Link beef jerky, 3.25 ounce size, $6.99. Assorted Hershey king size candy bars, 2 for $3. Assorted Kellogg's Pop Tarts, 2 for $2. Great specials plus quality Argo gasoline is what you'll find at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel. The Cool Hits 105.7 weather is brought to you by Moe's, 115 6th Street, Ashland, which caters and has gift cards. Come, dine in.
Welcome to Moe's. Cool Hits weather.
Early morning showers, windy with a few clouds from time to time. A high today of 71, partly cloudy tonight. Low should be at 38. Mainly sunny on Sunday, a high of 64, and Sunday night partly cloudy early with increasing clouds overnight, low of 44.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Big thanks to Cameron Mills on the other side of the break. Hang on, Dwayne, you got to turn me up there so people can hear me. Calm down. Everything's still the same. Let's try this again. Big thanks to Cameron Mills on the other side of the break for joining me talking some basketball from down at Lexington in the Sweet 16. Joining me now in studio, she is the 2022-23 Miss Basketball, along with her head coach, Matt Stokes. Miss Haven Ford, first off, congratulations. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take me back through the season. I mean, the hype was there. Obviously, you were one of the front runners out of the area, and there were certainly some other candidates in this area too that you saw and stuff like that. But just battling through all season long, what was that like?
It was a roller coaster for me and the team as well. I will say, like, coming in, at the goals Miss Basketball was kind of at the end because I knew at the end of the day it was out of my control, and so I just tried to do the things I control by going out and just doing whatever my team needed me to do, not really focusing on trying to I have to have this stat line to get my rise my chances of getting it, because I knew that I'd never done that before, so no need to start now. So just going out and doing the things that my team needed me to do and continuing to improve my game each day of practice and stuff like that, and I think that was the end result for that.
Coach, when you look at, like what she was talking there, the stat line, of course, a lot of people, they look immediately towards stats. That's where they go. But did you ever feel like that she was forcing the stats, or was she always just so natural the way that she played the game?
Most of the time she was natural. There were some times, like, depending on who we were playing, you could see her trying to force some shots or whatever, and we're like, hey, just calm down. It'll come, relax, get your teammates involved, and everything will will work itself out. It'll be easier for you. But I think the biggest thing is when you looked at her stats, she would fill all the stat lines, and a lot of times it was only for a half, because we wouldn't play her a lot. I didn't leave her in. I didn't feel like it was right to leave her in a game when you're up 25 points on somebody just for her to get more points, get more assists, more steals, and we'd look at stats after games and we're like, you were 1 assist away from a triple-double. But you're kind of, it's a catch-22. You want her to get all these numbers and pad her stats, or do you want her to be healthy for another game? Because if something happens, then and she never came to us and like, hey, I could have had 1 more assist, had a triple-double. You need to leave me in longer. She did whatever the coaches asked of her, which is great, especially for somebody as good as she is. She didn't look at those numbers, and we didn't look at them until after a game. We're, oh man, we just messed that one up. But and that's the thing to me that kind of stood out is people don't realize she didn't play the whole game, especially when we were up. Like, she didn't hardly play at all in the fourth quarter. If we were up 20 points or something, I didn't play her in the fourth quarter. Like, you're going to rest. We got another game coming up. So those are the numbers to me that really stick out. Is like she didn't play a full game and put these numbers up in a full game. She put a lot of these numbers up in a third quarter or in 3 quarters, and that's really impressive to me.
Haven, were there games that you realized going in that, on paper, you guys were the superior team, and you knew your playing time was going to be limited to a half or maybe even a third quarter, so you've got to go get yours when you got an opportunity?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Just trying to get it done early so we can get out, because we were, dealing with injuries and not being fully healthy, and so just going in, taking care of business early, and just getting out so we're not getting any more people hurt.
Coach was talking about the ability of getting other people involved. When you were able to do that, and I saw you do it many times this year when I saw you guys play, how much did that open up the way that you were able to score the basketball?
Oh, it opened it up a lot. Just taking that extra defender away from the help side, and it also just built up my teammates' confidence too. Because throughout the season, you could tell people were getting more confident with their shot, looking to score more, and that's what it took for us to be able to win the games that we did down the stretch. Is that everyone had to contribute offensively, and so like me giving them the kickouts, continuing to give it even if they were missing their first couple of shots. It just opened it up for me while also building their confidence up as well.
Coach, one of the things that she does so well, and everybody, they go straight to points, but she's a remarkable rebounder. And I laughed a couple times. I would watch her out-rebound her teammate. Yes. As a coach, is that a good thing to have, or is that something that you had to kind of work on to make people understand, hey, we're on the same team here?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because one of the girls that Haven played with a couple years ago, Shelby Reiser, when she was a senior, we were doing rebounding drills in practice one day, and we talked about, well, Haven's getting all these rebounds, you all got to help out. And, Shelby turns around and says, now, wait a second. I'm blocking 2 girls out at the same time so Haven can go get those rebounds. So, the girls like to give her a hard time, but it's that instinct for the ball. She does a good job of blocking out, and we really try to work on that with all of our girls. We do a lot of rebounding drills. You've got to block out first and then go get the rebound. And they do a good job of blocking out, but not everybody has that instinct of block out, I'm going to go get it. And that's in her head is, I'm going to go get the basketball. If you're going to stand there and let it come to you, I'm probably going to go get it before it comes to you. And any kind of rebounder has that instinct, like, let's go get it. I'm not waiting for it. If you're going to wait for it, it's mine. You've lost the rebound. It's coming to me.
Haven, let's take it back through the event. When you go down and you hear your name named Miss Basketball, take me back through the evening. First off, there were a lot of people there in attendance. A very nice event. Tell me, what was the event going into before they made the announcements?
It was a great experience overall. We got there and we had to get there. All the candidates had to get there early to go through a rehearsal what we're supposed to do when our names were getting called. We got there about 45 minutes early, getting through all that. They went over some stuff, and then when we ate. After that, we went back and they did each of the Region Player of the Year, and that's when we lined up to got our name called. And then after that, they announced, my bad, they went through the awards when I got my Donna Murphy Award, and they were giving out the statistical leaders as well. They did that before they announced the candidates. And so after the candidates was announced, they kind of gave a pause and was explaining the whole Miss Basketball and Mr. Basketball thing, and they announced the Miss Basketball first. I would say leading up the whole week, I wasn't even as nervous, and because I knew that if it was meant to be, then it would happen, and if not, it just wasn't in God's plan for me. And so I was chill and relaxed, and then the moment when she was getting ready to announce it, it's like my heart was beating out my chest, and then that's when I've been good all week, but then when that moment came and I heard my name, it went from shock to just straight excitement, and so it was just an overall just great experience. I was able to kind of have a reunion with my KP teammates as well, and so it was just overall a great experience.
I was just saying, were you awestruck when you heard your name, or did it instantly hit, or what? Was there a pause there? What was it?
I was like, my mouth dropped. I was in shock, and then I was straight excitement from there. I was smiling ear to ear, and just just being on stage and in front of everyone, and it was kind of like a relief after that. Just all the hard work was paying off, and that most importantly, I took away that others noticed my game and my character as well, and that stood out to me the most.
Coach, how nervous were you going into the week?
It was pretty bad. I think, she wasn't nervous. I talked to her mom. Raven is one of my assistant coaches, and she's been with me since I started as the head coach. And we talked to each other probably twice a day that whole week. And just like, man, I don't know what to do. We're like, and we kept telling each other, there's nothing we can do. It's out of our hands. It's in the voters' hands. It's, all this stuff. And so we got to go with her. And, she invited all the coaches, so that was really nice. And all the coaches got to sit at the table with their parents. And, of course, Kelly, he had to sit right beside me. So he had the rough seat because he was in between me and Raven, who were the two most nervous people at the whole place. And Kelly would hit me. He's like, would you quit grabbing my legs? My hands are shaking, sweaty. And he's like, would you stop? Would you just calm down? And, and I look over and Raven's like, I'm nervous too. I can't, and when they announced her name, our table, we got pretty excited and screamed, and I see my wife, and she just takes off running up through the crowd and going through people because she wanted to get up front and take pictures. And we had a few tears shed at our table. It's always exciting to see somebody who puts in as much time as they do, and more importantly, care about others that are on her team more than herself and the stats that she puts up. Like she said, she talked about how all these girls have really grown this year, and she stayed on them all the time. But for someone like that to win such a prestigious award, the Donna Murphy Award in Miss Basketball, it just says a lot. And we're thankful we had her. I tried to convince her coach at Murray State that she signed a COVID thing, and that didn't go over too well. So we tried to get her back for a COVID year, and she Coach Turner said, no, she's mine now.
She belongs to them.
She belongs to them, and she's going to do a great job. They got a wonderful coaching staff there, so she's going to have fun. But it was an amazing night. Like she said, she got to see some of her, Kentucky Career teammates, and when you see all those girls taking a picture together, you're like, man, they played on the same team during the summer ball. Her and the Feltner girl, who's one of our local kids, and just seeing all those girls together, and you're like, and I went and watched them play some. It was just amazing to see all those girls, and they're all deserving. Like Haven has said, everybody was very well deserving. Everybody played some great basketball, but I'm excited that it came to her. I'm a little biased, but I'm going to say that she really earned that award for all the work that she's put in.
Haven, your parents, Kelly and Raven, two great people. I always get. I think your mom's more vocal than your dad. And your dad is just always so chill, and I mean nothing about that, Raven. So don't come after me. I'm not saying anything bad. Kelly's just a little more chill. He's just the way he's always been. How were they last week going into this whole process?
My mom was definitely a lot more nervous and, just full of emotions because, like she told me multiple times, she just knew how so deserving I was for the award, and just not knowing, it was out of our control. And so she was just full of different emotions. There was a time I had to look at her. I was like, Mom, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Like, we just gotta get to the day and just see if it happens or not. And so I was just more trying to calm her down and keep her emotions. You ask my dad, he would always be like, oh, I'm chill, I'm good, even though when that day came, he was sweating. So I knew that he was deep down feeling some emotions. But, just through my biggest supporters, and they both knew how deserving I was for it, and I think that's what stemmed their emotions that whole week.
What was it like when you got back to Moorhead?
Well,
it was late that night.
It was late that night, but my phone was blowing up with so much support, and then I was able to get a police escort through Main Street that next day in Moorhead, and just all the people that came out, and people from the region that had reached out across the state as well. It was overwhelming with joy, and I'm so thankful for all the support that I received.
Coach, when you see the escort, they did the parade on the following day, everybody that came out to support and show their appreciation for it, how much did, for you as a coach, being part of that type of a community, how special is that?
It is. It's really special, especially when you grow up in Moorhead and you've been there your whole life, and you don't get to see this kind of stuff often, and especially in a small town like ours. And seeing the people that were out on Main Street for the parade, and you're like, I remember when I played in high school, these people were at our games too, and it's just like, there's so many people that were reaching out, congratulating her. We had some people that called me and said, I can't be there. I wish we could be there, but we're out of town, we're doing this, and just everybody reaching out from across the state, not just in Moorhead, but coaches and people texting. And of course, I don't know if I got to respond to everybody that sent me stuff, and I was trying to text, and my hands were shaking that night. But we have our community's small, and everybody really shows up for these kids no matter what they're doing. We've had kids win speech tournaments, and they get a parade through town, and it's really exciting to see all this stuff. But knowing that it's one of your kids, one of your babies that did something this special, it's pretty meaningful. And I like to take a lot of credit for it because I don't want to give her much. it's just the way we are. We give each other a hard time all the time, but we just played a small part in it. Any of the coaches that she's had all along the way, she's starting from elementary school all the way up. We all have had a small part of it. It's not one person or the other, and it was her dedication to playing, getting in the gym on her own, and going all hours of the night. Her dad would text me at 12 o'clock at night, say, "Look, Haven's in to shoot free throws," and of course I'd always been, "Well, yeah, she went 2 for 6 from the foul line. She needs to be." Trying to find something that I could do to motivate her, to get her upset with me, to really fuel that fire. But you didn't have to do that much with her, because she would find something on her own. I mean, after a triple-double night, she says, I missed this many shots. Like I could have, so you're having that fire and all that she's developed on her own really made her what she is, and it was great that the community came out and just everybody enjoyed it. We had a great time. She took pictures with everybody, took the time and made sure to thank every single person that was there, which is huge. You get excited about that stuff. So we're pretty proud of her. I guess I can not pick on her as much anymore since I'm losing her. But yeah, we're a pretty proud bunch, and our coaches, and like I said, our local community has really stepped up, and I know there's a few more things lined up for her as we go along that they're working out right now, and so it's going to be exciting times.
How many messages did you have on your phone by the time you got back to Moorhead that night?
So when after they announced it, we had to go talk to the media people, and so I already gave my mom my phone, and I was still taking pictures. And after when we left, when I picked it up, I probably had about 30 some from Twitter, people reaching out, like 20 some messages already. People had called me. I'd actually FaceTimed my Coach Turner. That when I first got my phone, I saw that she had called, and a bunch of messages, Instagram, just it was crazy. I think a total, it had to be close to 100. And so I knew it was a special moment for Murray as well, because I was the first to win it, the first recruit that they've had to win it, and so I just wanted to make sure that she was part of that moment as well. So I FaceTimed her, showing her, he was actually holding the trophy. When
I tried to take it home.
When she answered the phone, so I just wanted to make sure that she was in and part of that as well, because again, they did a lot for me to get me to Murray as well. And so I'm always appreciative of them, and so I just wanted her to be part of that moment, and just anyone. I'm pretty sure I tried to get to every message that was sent to me. I think I missed some comments on like the Twitter post or whatever, but it was crazy how much support came. So it was great.
Well, Haven, congratulations for not only for your career that you've put together through Round County, but being selected as Miss Basketball for this year. It's been a remarkable journey watching you all the way through your career, and from this side, I will say it was well-deserved.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Coach Stokes, thanks for coming over, and it was glad to get you guys in studio and stuff. Now,
Yeah.
I know there's some extracurriculars that's got to take place. There was rules before you all came this morning. Haven said there's food involved.
But before we came, at first it was breakfast. She's like, I want breakfast. And I'm like, all right, I'll get you breakfast. And then, we told her where we were at, and she's like, oh, never mind. I want this instead.
I want lunch now.
Yeah, I want lunch instead. And, so I've seen a couple other shops around here that I'm like, all right, well, if you're getting that, I'm getting this. And so we've kind of wheeled and dealed, and with me, it always involves food. So
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with food.
Right. She knows when she's going with the coaches. We're looking at food first before we look at anything else. So she was on board with it, and like I said, it's exciting times, and she's gotten to do a few different interviews and stuff, and it's been a joy to kind of listen to her and really appreciate her teammates and everybody that's been involved with all this stuff. But yeah, I guess now I've got to go pay my end of the bargain and take this girl to some lunch.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the NCAA tournament bracket Elite 8 coming up today and tomorrow. That's as we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Spring is coming, but the specials are already here at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Assorted cheese mix and bugle snacks, 2 for $4. Jack Link beef jerky, 3.25-ounce size, $6.99. Assorted Hershey king-size candy bars, 2 for $3. Assorted Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, 2 for $2. Great specials plus quality Argo gasoline is what you'll find at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Clark's Pump and Shops, return, refresh, refuel.
The Tri-States Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports. Hang on, boy. You're turning off again. You didn't need to unplug anything. No, honey. Look. One turn on here. Stop. Right there. Yeah. That one right there, Dwayne. It doesn't change. It's not. It doesn't change. It's the same one it's always plugged into. Jeez, oh, Pete. Can I get some help, Jim, please? Hey, a big thanks to Haven and Coach Matt Stokes there joining me on the other side of things. Haven is such a remarkable young lady. I could have done an entire show with her. You know, we talked about everything that she's done through basketball. She's already hit for the cycle in softball this week, by the way. I think she's hit 3 home runs this week. It's just unbelievable of what she has been able to do. But couldn't go to a better young lady. And our hearty congratulations here from the Cool Hits Sports Network to her and all the folks there in Moorhead. All right, let's look at the matchups today and tomorrow in the Elite Eight. Again, the first ever, and I'm going off of the stuff I saw from Twitter last night, but first time ever there has not been at least a 1 seed in the Elite Eight. All of those gone after both Alabama and Houston lost last night. The highest remaining team is number 2, Texas. So here's what we've got. Tonight at 6:09, number 9, FAU out of Conference USA will go up against number 3, Kansas State. Kansas State, Ray Schaefer is about to go nuts, okay? If they make it into the Final Four, I don't know that we won't be able to paint the town purple any more than what he's going to. The nightcap tonight around 8:50, 9 o'clock, number 4, UConn, number 3, Gonzaga. Tomorrow at 2:20, number 6, Creighton against number 5, San Diego State. And the last game in the Elite Eight, number 5, Miami, number 2, Texas. They'll play the Final Four starting next Saturday. And, of course, championship game on that following Monday, April the 3rd. It should be a dandy to see who this goes. Out of the teams remaining, I'm going to pick the underdogs. I'm going to go FAU. I'm going to take Gonzaga. I'm going to ride with Creighton. And I'm going to say Miami, Florida. Why not? I mean, at this point, who cares? It's none of these. Anybody that has this pick is a liar in itself. But all those games get going later on today and tomorrow to get us our set for the Final Four. All right, let's take our final break. When we return, it's the Border Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. That's as we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Spring is coming, but the specials are already here at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Assorted cheese mix and bugle snacks, 2 for $4. Jack Link beef jerky, 3.25-ounce size, $6.99. Assorted Hershey king-size candy bars, 2 for $3. Assorted Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, 2 for $2. Great specials plus quality Argo gasoline is what you'll find at Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel. The Cool Hits 105.7 weather is brought to you by Moe's, 115 6th Street, Ashland, which caters and has gift cards. Come, dine in.
Welcome to Moe's! Cool Hits weather.
Early morning showers, windy with a few clouds from time to time. A high today of 71, partly cloudy tonight. Low should be at 38. Mainly sunny on Sunday, a high of 64, and Sunday night partly cloudy early with increasing clouds overnight, low of 44.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. A big thanks to Coach Matt Stokes and Haven Ford, Miss Kentucky basketball, for joining us on the other side. Always a pleasure getting a chance to bring in our student athletes and celebrate their awards and accolades and all the greatness that they've put out through the season. But that young lady, she's going to do some things. She's headed to Murray State to play her college basketball, and she's going to be a good one. They got a dandy there in that one. So, but her parents, Kelly and Raven, great people. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen just how chill Kelly truly was. He's always a very chill guy, but his baby girl there, I think you'd have to say there was probably some nervous moments in that time whenever they got ready to announce the champion or the winner. But great family there, the Ford family there in Round County. Well, it's time for the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Borders Sporting Goods US 60 in Cannonsburg for all your hunting and fishing needs, as well as Liberty Gun Safes. See the good folks at Borders Sporting Goods US 60 in Cannonsburg. Everything fishing is on sale. They've got Abu Garcia, Luz, Shimano, St. Croix, Strike King, all of your baits, Bandit lures, Lucky Craft, you name it, they've got it. And Brad and the gang out there will get you all squared away. It was funny last night. I'm leaving for the lake next Friday with my dad. We're going to Kentucky Lake for a week, and I was getting all my rods and reels ready to go last night. My wife looked over and she goes, "It looks like a fishing rod factory exploded in our living room." I have 18 fishing rods and reels lying everywhere. I've got baits out. I've been customizing baits, so I've been painting with airbrush and stuff. So my living room area is basically just a fishing factory right now. Trying to get things ready to go for next week when fishing season for me will officially kick off. I'm certainly looking forward to it. So, but will the real James Collier please stand up? That's where I am today. And before I get into this, first off, I got to say some apologies, okay, to the Commercial Bank of Grayson, First National Bank of Grayson, Kentucky Farmers Bank. If there's any other banks in this area, I owe you an apology, because what happened is that I tried to open up an account for a club that I have, and I have a credit card through Chase. Well, they offered another an incentive to where if I open up a checking account with them, I got an incentive to add to it. And I was like, yeah, this makes sense, so I'll just do it. Well, in the process of it, I ended up opening up the wrong type of account. And I currently have $800 that is being held up by the fraud department because Chase Bank says that I was not supposed to have access to these checks, even though my name's on the checks. So over the past month, I have gone back and forth, trying to get them to release these funds to me. I went yesterday in person, for the second time I will add you, to look at a person in the face, and I gave them 4 forms of identification. And their fraud department says, nope, that's not enough. We still don't think that this is correct. And then the best part is that I said, what does the people who wrote the checks have to do to get their money back? We'll just cancel the checks and they can just start this thing. Oh, no, this money is held up in our fraud department. Until you prove who you are, nobody's getting their money. The best part is the money is already out of the accounts of the people who wrote the checks. They've already been debited the money that they wrote. But yet this bank won't give them their money back, even though it's not to me. But yet it is to me. Make sense? Yeah, that's what I said too. Like I said, all of the local banks here, this is what you get for dealing with big corporate America, okay? Lesson learned. I will never do that ever again. And that's why that I said, Kentucky Farmers Bank, First National Bank, Commercial Bank. I'm sorry. I don't hate me, okay? You guys are great supporters of us here at the station, and that's what I get for doing something with big corporate America. But never again. But hopefully at some point, the real James Collier will stand up. And I'm still trying to figure out, I don't know what else I'm going to have to do. That's the best part, to try to prove my identity to these people. Here's the thing. If there's another James Collier out there, God help us. Who knows? Who knows? But certainly, yeah, it's this thing has been going on for a month now. And we'll see what comes out of it. I'm hoping that by this week I can get them the final piece of the puzzle that they supposedly want for me to prove my identity, but we'll see. Jeez, oh, Pete. The Border Sporting Goods rant of the week. Hey, a big thanks to Cameron Mills for joining me talking some Sweet 16 basketball. And, of course, Matt Stokes and Haven Ford from Rowan County and our 2022-23 Kentucky Miss Basketball joining us here in studio. It was a great pleasure to have those two in studio talking with me this morning. That'll do it for us this week. Again, we got some softball coming up over at KCU tomorrow, Senior Day for the Knights. You can watch all those actions on Cool TV beginning at 12:45 with a pregame show, and then 1 o'clock first pitch for Senior Day. And then, of course, we've got a lot of stuff coming up in the upcoming weeks. For Dwayne Elliott, everyone here at the station, I'm James Carr. Have a good weekend, everyone.
You've been listening to Let's Talk Sports on